It's time to find out
What Shane
said with Shane Manila.
Hey, good evening, good people. Time for another Shane Says episode. We spent the last few episodes just diving into some numbers. This episode, just going to keep it a little light. Just want to talk about a couple of players that I've been targeting in trades over the last, week and a half or so. These are players that I feel the market is, I want to say soft on. I don't know if that's correct terminology or how other analysts use it. But these are players that I think there's definitely doubt in the market, which makes them gettable, which isn't always the case for a lot of players. Sometimes players just aren't gettable. Now, neither of these players are in that range where they've never been gettable, but I think they're more gettable right now. So these are gettable players. Maybe that'll be the name of this episode. Gettable players? Shane's gettable buys? I don't know. Whatever. Not my problem. I'll come up with titles. The first player that I am interested, that I've been trying to get my hands on, Justin Herbert, or a Bear, if you are a New Orleans, Louisiana person, a Bear, that's how you pronounce it. But it's Justin Herbert. He's the QB9 on KTC right now. Part of the concern, or the biggest concern, I should say, regarding Justin Herbert is the fact that he's got a Harbaugh in town that apparently will never allow him to throw the football. The popular narrative being that with Harbaugh there, and it's I'm not sure if it's John or Jim, always get them mixed up, so I'll just keep referring to them as Harbaugh, Coach Harbaugh, that Justin Herbert's basically going to be treated like J.J. McCarthy, hand the ball off a bunch of times and throw when necessary. I think that might be a little overblown. First of all, Justin Herbert is a significantly better quarterback than J.J. McCarthy, obviously at this stage of their careers, also as prospects. So I'm not particularly concerned about that. But there's also who's in the backfield. Who is going to be the person or the persons to take the air out of the ball? As opposed to letting Herbert throw the ball, are you going to give the ball to J.K. Dobbins, who was signed to a 1 year, $1.61 million deal, 1 year deal over the offseason, who was coming back from a torn Achilles after recovering from a torn ACL 2 years prior to that? I love J.K. Dobbins coming out of college. This is not a guy that I think can carry a load or even be a primary or even a significant member of a successful backfield. I personally wouldn't be surprised if J.K. Dobbins gets cut. There's really no commitment. $1.6 million is peanuts in the NFL. That's a nothing contract. There's no real commitment. Like I said, he's been injured repeatedly. Significant injuries, Achilles and an ACL. Pretty much death blow to running backs. You don't want this. So J.K. Dobbins, I'm going to discount. Probably not going to be the man. How about Gus Edwards? Gus Edwards had 13 total touchdowns last year. That is a pretty impressive feat. You know how many touchdowns he had in his career total prior to last year? 13. So he's 26 career touchdowns. 13 of those coming in one season. You know what that means? Last year was an anomaly. There's no way Gus Edwards is that dude. It's going to be a lot different trying to score touchdowns and run the ball with Justin Herbert next to you as opposed to Lamar Jackson. It just is. You know, no shade on Gus Edwards. Not worried about him. Then there's, six-rounder Kimani Vidal. I know everybody loves him. Steamed up in rookie drafts. Some rookie drafts see him going off the board in third, second round in some crazed leagues. Don't know why. Just, again, 6th-round back. I'm not putting any stock into that. And then there's Isaiah Spiller, who's averaged, 2.5 yards per carry in 2 seasons. You can say that yards per carry is a flawed stat. I don't care. That's bad. That is bad. No matter how flawed the stat might be, you want more advanced analytics. I'm not even going to bother. Go look at them for Isaiah Spiller. I'm sure they're terrible. So is this a running back room you think is really going to take the air out of the ball? No, I do not. Now, I don't think the Chargers are going to rank 5th in passing like they did last year. Obviously, I've already talked about Harbaugh's desire is going to be to run the ball. I think he's going to attempt to run the ball, and he will run the ball some. But it's going to be limited success. But there probably will be enough success that they won't throw the ball at the 5th highest rate per game like they did last year. So all that said, I think he's more likely a back-end QB1, QB9, QB10, something in that range next year. That's okay. I'm okay with that considering his price. So he's someone that I'm shopping for. I've sent out multiple offers, actually. I'm waiting on those. But I've decided to come up with a couple structures on offers that I think you can make for him to see how they go. So these are trade ideas. These are just structures. You can swap out player names for other players. Just trying to find these types of players. So one of the offers that I came up with is Tua Tagovailoa. Yes, I mispronounced that, and I apologize. And Jordan Addison for Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert isn't really seen as a win-now piece anymore because of the concerns of this year. So what you're doing here is you're trading Tua, who, yes, he led the league in passing last year. He was still somewhere between quarterback 16 and 19 last year with a career season, points per game. He was still a mid QB2. He's not very good. You can tell me it's going to get better. I'm sure there might be touchdown regression. I don't believe it. And Jordan Addison, I'll get into him a little more later. I think he's a capped player. I think a lot of people in fantasy think he's a capped player. So that's the type of deal I would try to throw out there. A quarterback like Tags and Jordan Addison, wide receiver for Herbert. Also, any leagues that I have Trevor Lawrence in, I'm trying to use Trevor Lawrence and another player. One of the players that I've been trying to use is Xavier Legette. So Trevor Lawrence for Xavier Legette. Now, some people might not agree with this. They think that Trevor Lawrence is, due for a better season. He's got Brian Thomas Jr. now. So, maybe he'll pick up his pace. Here's the thing. He has never finished better than QB 12 in 3 seasons. Justin Herbert has 3 top 8 seasons in 4 seasons. So he's played 4 seasons. In 3 of those, he's been a top 8 quarterback. I'm putting my money on Justin Herbert. Xavier Legette, he is a wide receiver with a bad profile who did not break out until his rookie season. Should have been his rookie season, until his senior season, his 5th year senior season. 5 years. 5 years. So he had 1,200 yards as a senior. Prior to that, you go look at it. It was somewhere in the neighborhood of less than 300 yards of receiving prior to that every year. So he's not a player that I am particularly bullish on, even though I did like him a little bit coming out of the draft. But the more you dig into him, the more I'm willing to move off of him. And also, he's just a risk. He's a back end round 1, beginning of the round 2 draft pick. Those are risky profiles. So as I've said, I sent out numerous offers. Anywhere I own Trevor Lawrence. I've also tried in a tight end premium league. I sent out Trevor Lawrence and Dallas Goedert for Justin Herbert. Straight up, I didn't even ask for a kicker back. So I haven't been able to pull those deals off yet. They're still sitting out there. Sent out about 5 offers. Again, I'm in 31 leagues, so that's 1/6 of my leagues. I don't know what it is. I'm not great with math, but so I sent out offers. I haven't heard back on any of them, really. Couple rejections, but there's at least 4 trades still sitting out there. And that just brings me to an aside. Like, what are we doing, people? I know it's summertime. I know there's no rush, but if someone sends you an offer, why are you not responding? Like, I legitimately want to know. If you let me know in the comments, right? You get an offer, if you're one of these people that gets an offer and then doesn't respond in any way whatsoever, could you just let me know why? Like, what's the thought process behind that? Do you look at it and just get busy and then forget about it? I can see that happening sometimes. Or is the trade offer sometimes just not even up to par that you don't even want to bother rejecting it? I don't know. Let me know, because I'm curious. Because I'm one of those people generally, as soon as I get a trade offer, I'm accepting, declining, or countering. That's just me. All right, second up. This is going to be a quick episode, by the way. I don't want to be too long with it. Second up, Chris Olave. Now, I know he's the wide receiver 10 on KTC. Feels a little softer than that, right? Feels a little squishy to me. I don't know that he's a hard 10. I'm a big Chris Olave fan. I was after his rookie season when he finished as the wide receiver 25. More so after last year when he was the wide receiver 19. That's good progression. Picked up about a little less than 1.5 from his rookie season to his sophomore season in points per game scoring. Not bad. Sometimes you just want to take educated gambles, right? Just taking a bet that Chris Olave is going to move forward. And if I'm wrong and he doesn't move forward, at least I think his floor is a wide receiver 2. Wide receiver 19 last year. I still think there's a lot of ceiling there. I think he's wide receiver 1. Now, is he a top 5 wide receiver? We're going to need a lot of help. Mr. Carr, we're going to need you to play a little better. But as I noted, last year he was the wide receiver 19, points per game. His scoring actually increased by 1.3 points per game over his rookie season. Just for funsies, I wanted to go see what Mike Clay projected him at. He has him finishing as the wide receiver 10 overall in scoring. He also had him averaging 16.3 points per game in 2024. That's his projections. And that would have been that 16.3 fantasy points per game this year in 2023. That would have been the wide receiver 11. So again, definitely I feel like they're ceiling. People smarter than me think they're ceiling. What I also like is that the change in the offense. Hey, if you're not a Destination Devy or Dynasty Trades in 5 patron, hit us up. Check it out. But one of the things we were talking about in our Discord, our patron Discord, was the Klint Kubiack offense and the changes that he's going to make it to that offense. Expect Chris Olave's routes types to change. Expect him to see routes more in line with Brandon Ayuk, Tyreek Hill. Obviously, there's only one Tyreek Hill. You could run routes like him all day. Doesn't mean you're going to put up those stats. I'm not silly enough to think that. But, just besides that, there are other areas where there's room for positive regression. And I'll say positive regression instead of just regression because that's how I talk. His catchable target rate last year was 43rd among wide receivers. That's bad. His 1,058 unrealized air yards was the 3rd highest among all wide receivers in 2023. So there's room for positive regression here, right? So Chris Olave is a guy I'm buying. Those are the reasons. So how do we acquire him? Well, it just so happens I have several offers still sitting out there, but I did pull off two trades last week for Chris Olave. I gave up Devonta Smith and a 2025 second and got back Chris Olave in a 2026 third. This is a best ball league. It is my second. My second is likely to be early. It's a 3rd round pick in 2026. Who knows, right? That's just one of those I needed to get a pick on the back end. As I noted before, I think Chris Olave has ceiling to hit, and I think Devonta Smith is one of those wide receivers that is capped because he has A.J. Brown in front of him. A.J. Brown is not just a wide receiver 1. He's one of the best wide receiver 1s in the NFL. It's not likely that Devonta Smith is going to overtake him. If he does, and he becomes a wide receiver 1 of that Philadelphia offense, sure, I'll look silly. I don't think it's likely. So again, I made that deal giving up Devonta Smith in the second for Chris Olave in the 3rd. I would also swap out, if I have Zay Flowers on my team, DK Metcalf, Jordan Addison, any of those 3. I would swap any of those players out, add a second to it to get Chris Olave and a pick back. 3rd rounder being fine. Specific to Jordan Addison, because some people might have a problem with that. They'll say, Shane, did you see what he did in his rookie year? And I did. I watched football last year. He had a pretty good rookie season, I'm not going to lie. But a lot of that was built off the back of when Justin Jefferson wasn't there. So in games without Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison scored 14.7 points per game. Really good. And had a 21.7 target share in games without Justin Jefferson. Both really good. In the games that he played with Justin Jefferson, though, not so good. It was less good. It was ungooder. In the 10 games without Justin Jefferson, in the 10 games with Justin Jefferson, 11.8 points per game. It's pretty good for a rookie. Not elite, but good. And a 14% target share. Not very impressive, got to be honest with you. So I think he's capped. I don't think anyone in their right mind thinks Jordan Addison is ever going to overtake Justin Jefferson, who is probably, not even arguably, the wide receiver 1 in all of Dynasty Fantasy Football and probably the best wide receiver in the NFL. At least, certainly in this short conversation of wide receiver 1s. So I did make a second deal. This one's a little more risky. This is a tight end premium league, Superflex, start 11. Reason I bring up the fact that it's tight end premium league, it's 2.0 and a 1 point PPR for wide receivers, 2.0 for tight ends. I gave up Kyle Pitts and DeAndre Hopkins and got back Chris Olave and a 2027 second. Way I break this trade down in my brain, it's Olave for Pitts, the second for Hopkins. Pretty simple, right? So I know the risk is on my side, but even in this format, Kyle Pitts only finished as the tight end 13 last year, averaging 12.5 fantasy points per game. Whereas, again, Chris Olave was right around 14.5 points per game. So even in this premium, he outscored Kyle Pitts. Chris Olave did by 2 points per game. Now, obviously, Kyle Pitts could take a step forward. Certainly in the realm of possibility. He might. I still think, again, Chris Olave has more ceiling and will be taking a step forward. Entirely possible Kyle Pitts does. And if Kyle Pitts turns into what he was supposed to be when he came out of college, Sam Laporta, Travis Kelce, that type of tight end, well, then I'm going to have egg on my face, but I don't think he will. Then moving Hopkins, for a future second, that was just about liquidity, really. You can start 6 wide receivers in this league. Obviously, you cannot, well, not obviously, but you can also start 6 running backs. I have a number of flex options in this league, almost too many. And if you know me, I do like to sell for my excess to get some liquidity on my roster or as an asset. So Hopkins was probably my wide receiver 6 or 7, maybe 5 if you squint. So really, he was a luxury item, and I was just trying to get liquidity. That's it. That's all I got this week. I just wanted to share some trades that I was looking at, players that I was trying to acquire. You let me know what you think of the deals, I'm always rating your deals or talking about your deals, telling you what I think on the Dynasty Trades in 5 streams. If you're a patron in there, giving you my advice on the trades. So you let me know. You tell me where I done good or where I done bad on the Chris Olave deals that I've made. And if you've made any Justin Herbert deals lately, heck, let me know because I'd like to take a look at those. And I am not beyond or above stealing ideas from someone else if I think it can get me a deal done because I would like to get some more Justin Herbert on my roster. So that's all I got this week. I truly, truly appreciate all of y'all. Everyone have a great week. Have a great weekend, a great month, and enjoy the 4th of July holiday. Then this should be coming out right around then. So all y'all take care.